Hey, Monty, good to see you. A two-part thing. Is there any new clarity on Chris?
No, there's no update, Chris. Nothing's changed.
Okay. Second thing I had on Devin and DeAndre specifically, what's jumped out to you this season as far as just what their day-to-day routines like?
I mean, Book's pretty steady with his work. You know, he gets his body work in. He's the weight room stuff. You know, he's always been diligent about that. I think he has a really nice setup at his house. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. DA has, you know, learned like most young guys do when you come into the league. There's just a lot more details to the work and a lot more stuff involved as far as pre-practice stuff, post-practice. It's a lot, but you get used to it over time. So that's been the thing that he's consistently improved. After we had a number of conversations, and it wasn't like he was ever a bad worker, but we just felt like he has the kind of ability that, you know, if he puts in the kind of work that I've seen guys with his kind of ability put in, he can be a dominant player. And he knows that it takes a lot to be really good in this league. And he's, you know, the guy that's willing to do all the extra stuff. And we just want him to be the best version of himself.
Next up is Richard Science with Fox 10, followed by Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Coach. You know, obviously the guard play was fantastic yesterday. They were really getting into the paint, and it seemed to open things up for DeAndre. You know, how much easier does it make it for DeAndre to get in space and get those easy buckets he was able to get when your guards and the rest of the guys are penetrating the way they did yesterday?
Yeah, I think we're like most teams in the league. We want to try to touch the paint as much as we can. It helps everybody. It helps the bigs. It helps the shooters on the outside. The decision-making by the guard yesterday was at a really good level. And we hope to be consistent with that and continue to improve the spacing around those paint touches. And I've been pretty consistent all year about DA's ability to generate offense when he's diving and putting pressure on the rim.
Next up is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, followed by Dan Wojcicki.
Thank you, Coach. Just a couple of things, just to follow up on the question about Chris and the FaceTime that you guys had with him and him being in a good space and being excited. And obviously there was reports that he's not showing any symptoms of the virus. I'm not asking you to confirm that. What I'm asking is, what's it like seeing him in that spirit and knowing that he's well and he's, you know, and he's feeling good despite not being able to be with you guys?
I mean, I think it's a lot of it was because we won the game for sure. He was excited about that. It's always good to see his face. I just think it was based on the fact that we were able to win the game. So, you know, everybody was in that winning game mood, obviously. And you know, he and I have talked every day about our team and what we're seeing in other playoff games and just trying to improve. And so we did that with Tyshawn when he wasn't with us in LA. We just try to make sure that we keep everybody in the fold, and you know, we're not family, but we try to act like we're a family. And so that was just a way to keep him locked in. I'm not quite sure if he called or if somebody else called him, but when I walked in, he was on FaceTime. So he became a part of the locker room.
Next is Dan Wojcicki with the LA Times, followed by Kellen Olson.
Hey, Monty. I kind of have two, and they're sort of related. Was there like a pivot point moment in your time with Devin where you saw him go to another level, or has this just been sort of natural progression for a guy who works hard? And then I think secondarily, and maybe related, how much did that bubble experience last year for you guys set the stage for this, to go there when there was maybe some hand wringing about whether or not you guys should even be included, to kind of go there and build some momentum for this year?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there was a moment. I've been watching Devin before I came to Phoenix, just because you watch different players around the league. Sometimes you can overlook a guy because he hasn't done what everybody thinks he should do. But when you're a coach and you have to scout and you have to prepare, you see every player in the league. And so I watched him closely for a while. I think my first eye-opening experience was when he was with the USA team. He was on the select team, and you could see that he wasn't afraid of going against the top guys. He actually stood out during that camp that week, and I was a coach during that time, and you could kind of see like this guy's different. And then with the bubble experience, you know, I said it last year, outside of the teams that either won the championship or competed for one, we had the most to gain, because a lot of people thought we shouldn't have been there. And for us, it was like a third training camp for us. I mean, we had the preseason training camp, and then we had the Madhouse training camp, and then we got to go to Orlando and have another training camp. And so we were able to continue our program. And then we were just fortunate enough to play well and win a lot of games that built a ton of confidence. And Mikal and Cam, DA, fell into campaign, JC, all those guys were put in situations where they had to show and prove every day. And Book, you know, played some of his best basketball there. So we grew as a program for sure when we were in Orlando.
Next up is Ellen Olson with Arizona Sports, followed by Gina Mizell.
Hey, Monty, when you watched back the film, for you guys defensively, how did you assess the way you guys defended, specifically with the amount of switching you guys were doing?
We were solid in some areas, and in some areas not so much. You know, we gave up a few corner threes that we wanted to try to stay away from. But I thought the physicality that we showed was decent. As I said yesterday, Jay and Mikal, Cam and Torrey and Book, those are all like-sized guys. And so anytime we can use them to switch, it just keeps the ball in front, and you don't have to get into rotations. But that's no different than any team. I mean, that's why the Clippers do it. You know, we still see areas where we can improve. We really have to close out to their feet, especially their shooters, and they have a lot of them. And we talked about that today. There was a lot of will and just energy out there on the floor, even when something broke down schematically. I thought the will of our players, especially to pursue rebounds, was really good. So as a coach, you're always looking for some sort of edge in an area where you can improve so you can get that much better. And we talked about a few of those things today.
Next up is Gina Mizell with Suns.com, followed by Kevin Zimmerman.
Hey, Monty, kind of lost in everything from yesterday was the fact that James was named Executive of the Year. And so I was just curious to get your reaction to that first.
It was pretty cool. I was happy for him and his family. And, you know, he's a big reason why we're having this success, because of the team he's put together and the character of the players and the talent that he's assembled. Just happy for him. You know, he's changed this thing in a short period of time, and he and I both, you know, we're not satisfied, but we're constantly talking about how we're so blessed to do what we do and be a part of this because of the people that we get to work with. And so I was walking out on the floor. It caught me off guard because I didn't even know. I just heard it as I was walking onto the floor. So I just started clapping. I was just happy for him and happy for his family, and see his kids out there. Like that's pretty cool. And to do it in front of our fans, I know that had to be a thrill for him. He won't admit it, but I'm sure he was close to tears yesterday. So I thought it was pretty cool. I think I've said cool enough in this segment, but I thought it was cool. Don't you think that's cool?
All right, Coach, we got time for 3 more. Next up is going to be Kevin Zimmerman with Arizona Sports, and then Brendan Clean.
Hey, Monty, obviously Book had triple-double, 40 points, but how hard is it to do that and then play pretty good defense for 44 minutes? And kind of along those lines, do you feel like he gets enough credit for just playing that type of defense along with carrying all that on offense?
No, I don't. I've said it a number of times. You know, he's not like a lot of these guys who just score. You know, he defends, he understands defensive concepts at a high level. He doesn't back down from a matchup. We put a lot on him defensively. You know, there's games where Book is guarding the point guard. He's guarding the primary ball handler. That's a lot. And you have to go back on the other end and score. So his conditioning is about as good as I've seen from any player I've been around. You know, he's just one of those guys that doesn't get tired. We want to try to manage it better as we go forward, but he's more than a scorer. He's an unreal passer. He thinks the game. He's competitive, and you know, as I said, he doesn't get enough credit for defense that he displays every game.
Final 2 questions are Brendan Clean with Locked On Suns and Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty, staying on the topic of defense a little bit, with all the switching that was going on, it did seem like there weren't a lot of moments where DA was out on the perimeter having to guard, you know, a point guard or a ball handler. Is that intentional, something you don't want to have to put him into a situation to do, or what do you attribute the fact that it was kind of the other guys and he was able to stay on that back line and corral the rim?
You're just trying to make an effort the same way they do with Zubac. You know, you're trying to keep those guys at the rim so, one, they can distract guys when they come to the paint, and 2, it's rebound. You know, DA's, you know, he and Capella, probably another guy missing. They're the best rebounders in the league, so you want to take advantage of that. We're doing the best we can to try to keep him out of rotations. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. There were a couple of times where he rotated out to Reggie in the corners. Well, but he was able to get a hand up and contest those shots. He had one situation where he helped off of Nicholas, and Nicholas got a 3. So that's a situation you want to avoid, where he's that guy that has to rotate back out. But for the most part, we're just trying our best to keep him at the rim because they're so good in their isolations and playing off the bounce.
Final question is Dwayne Rankin.
Thank you. Coach, we know when you say something's pretty cool, it's pretty cool. So we got the point. But wanted to ask just about when you look at playing without Chris in game one, how did you sense you guys would play, and did it match that in terms of how you did play, or maybe did it exceed how you expected the guys to play without him?
To be totally straight, I had no clue. I knew we would compete. I knew that the guys would have great intentions on defense and try to make the right plays, but there's no sample size for that. You know, Western Conference Finals, you're without Chris Paul. You know, you're hoping. As I said yesterday, I thought Book managed the game well. I thought Cam, when he came back in after his first stint, he managed it well. But I thought there was a collective effort. Jay was huge yesterday, talking to the guys on the floor, getting them into their spots. He and Mikal and Cam and Torrey were spaced properly. So I didn't know what to expect as far as from a production standpoint, but I knew that the guys would compete. I knew we would try to do the right things. It's just hard to forecast when you don't have Chris on the floor.